Hey everybody, how's it going? Buster Photo here with another camera review and how-to. Today we have a camera with a face only a mother would love, the Koni-Omega Rapid. This is a 6x7 medium format camera. It is definitely one of the cheaper medium format cameras if you want to get into medium format at a reasonable price. It does shoot nice 6x7 negatives. We're going to talk about it today. I'm going to tell you what every single one of these dials, buttons, and gizmos does. Uh, yeah, so let's get right into it. First of all, the name, Koni-Omega. This company only existed from like the late 50s into 1981. It was a collaborative effort between Konica Japan and Omega Corporation, which was an American company. Omega symbol right there. Uh, they were pretty expensive when they first came out. Um, this camera is built like a beast, a tank. It like mine isn't not the best condition. I mean, everything kind of wiggles and does weird sounds. The back jiggles, but generally feels like a tank. It's built like a tank. Like mine, I've shot plenty of rolls in mine, and it works perfectly. But let's get into the use and the features of the camera. So starting right here with the lens, we have a 90mm f3.5 Konica Hexanon lens. What a great name. This is the standard lens for this camera. They had a wide angle and telephoto, not a lot of lenses for this camera. It's a leaf shutter system, so the leaf shutter, the shutter, is built right into the lens. And moving over here to the side, or the top, I should say, your aperture and your shutter speed is controlled right on the camera. Looks like we have f3.5 to f32, and then on the shutter speed, we have bulb 1 second all the way to 1/500th of a second. Now, there's two ways to cock this shutter, this lens on this camera. I'll show you the first one. If we go right here to the bottom of the camera, you see this little metal protruding part right here. You bring that all the way back, and you see the red right there. The red means the shutter is cocked. I'm going to fire the shutter release, and then you hear that little squeaky, very quiet lens shutter. Yeah, that's how you cock. That's one of the ways that you cock this lens. This lever right here on the side is how you cock it with the back of the camera, and I'll show you that once we get there. Now, to remove the lens on these cameras, it's a two-step operation. First, you have to turn this dial right here. This dial is a safety measure. It brings a curtain closed between the film and the front of the camera so that you don't get any light leaks in your film. And it's also not possible to remove the lens unless you turn that dial. And once you turn that, you see this lock button with the button pointing down. So you just go in the opposite direction, and the lens comes right out. Very tiny. Everything. It's amazing that everything is right here in this lens. This lens has a couple of spots, not in the best condition, but the pictures have been flawless. Very, very sharp lens on this Konica. And so to put it back, you just line up these two little feet in the corresponding holes right here, and there's no click. It just literally just sets in there. And then you press the lock button down and then return the safety curtain measure. Pretty cool. Right here, up here, like we mentioned, we have the Koni-Omega nameplate. Mine's not in the best condition. You see it has a little dent. It's also missing a screw. So you get kind of a little musical instrument to go with your camera. Right here we have, as I mentioned, the shutter release button. Up here at the top, above the Rapid name, because this is the Koni-Omega brand, this is the Rapid model of their cameras. I think this was the third model they ever came out with. This little window right here is to help for your rangefinder. Now, if you've never used a rangefinder, essentially inside, when you look inside the viewfinder, when you're trying to focus, you see like two ghost images. When you line up the two ghost images, that's how you know your lens is in focus. If the rangefinder is properly calibrated, on mine it is, so we have no problems with that. And then right here, that's your viewfinder. That's what you're actually seeing through the camera on the back. And right here, this little like gray little rectangle right here, that's to let light into your parallax correction. And I'll talk a little bit more about that once we get there. Moving to the side of the camera, this grip, man, it's a love-hate relationship I have with this grip. Every camera I've seen, like it comes with this grip. Like this grip wasn't an accessory. It's just like built into the camera. I'm pretty sure you can remove it, but if you take this off, there's no real good way to hold this camera, because this camera is just a flat rectangle of protrusions and sharp edges. Uh, yeah, this is not my favorite grip of any camera I've used. I mean, I have pretty big hands and it fits, but it just never feels comfortable. It always feels like, man, not. I usually just pull the strap over and then just let that carry all the weight. Not the most comfortable camera, but if you're looking to save some bucks on a medium format camera, this is the way to go. So at the top right here, we have your little loops for your neck strap. There's another one on the other side as well. So let's move to the top. Man, hot, cold shoes galore. This thing has 3 cold shoes for all the matter of accessories you might want to use. Mine personally comes with this little rubber eye cup, which seems kind of like overkill. Like most of the companies, you just screw in your eye cup to some threading. But for this one, it has this whole thing that goes into the cold shoe right here. So yeah, 3 cold shoes for all your accessories. Moving over to the side of the camera, right here's your focus knob. You see, there's no inner focusing in the lens. The entire plate moves forward and back, which is pretty cool. That usually means much sharper images. This focus knob has 3 different markings. Let's zoom in on that. 3 different markings with 3 different colors. If you have the standard 90mm lens, you would use these markings down here. Oh, sorry, should probably be in focus. These markings down here. Now, the red and the blue markings, I forget which one's which, but it was either the red for the telephoto, the blue for the wide angle, or vice versa. If you had either of those lenses attached, then this would be your distance measurements for your focusing. Pretty nifty. And I'll of course, right here, we have our other lug. This right here, I'll talk about in just a second when I finish talking about the back. So let's move to the back. So this camera has backs. You can remove them mid-roll, but you would only be able to do this in a dark bag. Future versions of this camera had a dark slide, so you can remove the back, put a new one. But for this one, yeah, you can't remove it with film inside unless you're in a dark bag or a dark room. So right here, pretty simple. You put your film, a little piece of paper to remind you what kind of film you have behind this tab. Right here is the lock and open lever. Flip that up, and you turn to open, close it down to lock. Here's your frame counter window. It's built right into the back. This is a 120 back. They had 220 backs, and you would know that, but there would be a little circle right here with either 120 or 220. This one is missing, but I know it's a 120 because I've used it. Now, this is probably the best feature of this camera. Original, quirky feature, unique, you could say. To cock and advance the film, that's how you do it. But there's also no safety measures to use this camera. Like right there, you saw if there was film in here. You saw the film as it was advanced. The shutter was cocked, but I haven't fired the shutter. But I could easily skip to the next one, skip to the next one. Yeah, this camera definitely needs your attention, because you could easily waste a ton of film by not shooting any of it. You can get 10 shots on a roll of 120. And on the 10th shot, the back locks, letting you know that you're on your 10th shot. So 8, 9, 10. Now it should be locked there. That's letting you know you're on your last shot. This little lever pops down to lock your film advance to get out of it. Once you shoot your 10th shot, you just slide that up, and then you can go all the way back to load. And then load, and that's where you would load your film, and that way you know that your film has completely returned. Let me show you how you load film in this thing, or an express version for the sake of this video. So what you want to do is you want to open it, and then the easiest way that I've noticed how to load it is to just flip it this way, so that the knob is on your upper right hand side. So let's quick express way. So you would have your empty spool here. Sorry folks, let me focus on that. There we go. You would have your empty spool here. You transfer it over here. And the cool thing about these little tabs right here, they spring down. So it makes it really easy to put the next roll in. So when you put your roll of film in here, same thing on this side, you want to make sure you load the film so that as you pull it out, the black part of the paper is facing you. Otherwise, you're going to have no exposure because you put it in the wrong way. You put the paper leader into a little slot on the other side, and you have to walk this by hand or with your thumbs. And you make sure you want to grab when it comes around. Yeah, put your thumb on the paper on that side, and then once it makes that first turn, it should just grab really easily. Yeah, and I usually put my thumb here to keep it nice and taut. Oh, and of course the paper slipped out, but you get the idea. Once it's locked in, and then this film is already ruined, so I'm not worried. For the sake of this video, we're just gonna express it. So then you would roll it until these black arrows come all the way around, and they line up with that little red dot right there. That red dot right there. Now, if your red dot is like mine is hardly visible, the paint is kind of falling off. But if you have one that's maybe the paint has come off, just make sure it's like right there. If this was 12 o'clock, that'd be like 2 o'clock position. And once you get the black arrows there, you'd put the film back onto the camera, and then you're ready to shoot. And then you would put it back, lock it, put that tab down, and then you would cycle until you got to 1. And there's 1, and you're ready to fire. And that's pretty much it for this camera. Oh, one thing I can mention, it's very easy to do double exposures on this camera. If, like, say for example, we took a picture on the number 1 and we want to do a double exposure, you would not pull this because then you'd advance the film. You would have to manually cock it by hand, and then double exposure. Watch out now, triple exposure, and as many exposures as your heart desires. And then when you're done, you obviously advance it to the next frame. And that is pretty much it. Yeah, man, if you're looking for an affordable medium format camera, this is definitely the one. Affordable. The prices now on eBay there's not that many in the US, but there's a couple from Japan. Looks like around $200. I personally paid $60 for mine. I thought that was a super cool deal because at the time I didn't have a Pentax 6.7 yet, and I was really looking for a nice, good size negative. I was tired of shooting square format, and that's why I got it in this one for $60. I mean, things are shaky, things are kind of loosey goosey. Even the back too, like it doesn't feel that secure. It kind of, it kind of rattles a little bit, but this thing is really, really well built. There never been any light leak issues, even with this shaky back. Yeah, this is definitely an ugly camera, but I love it. This lens is super sharp. So if you ever see any you come across, it's definitely a unique camera. And you can, this is, I mean, come on, that's super cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Koni-Omega Rapid. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please like and subscribe. I love you all, and yeah, have a nice day.